In a world unseen by human eyes, beneath the soil of Oahu's ancient valleys, exists a civilization as complex and wondrous as any kingdom above ground. This is Myrmis, a realm carved across centuries into the living earth itself, a network of tunnels, chambers, and crystalline caverns so vast that even its oldest inhabitants have never seen all of it. Here, millions of souls labor, build, love, and dream. Bioluminescent fungi grow from the cavern walls, casting the underground city in hues of violet, cobalt, and gold. Architecture rises from compacted earth and polished stone, towers, bridges, and grand halls that would dwarf any human palace if a human eye could only see them. This is where our story begins, not in glory, not in triumph, but in the quiet, ordinary life of one ant who never asked to be extraordinary. His name was Kael, a mid-tier worker ant of the Western colony, not powerful, not celebrated, not particularly noticed. He carried loads heavier than himself without complaint. He followed the pheromone trails every morning without deviation. He was, by every measurable standard, entirely unremarkable. Except for one thing. Kael asked questions, not just in his mind, out loud to anyone who would listen. Why do we always carry food east when the western cache is closer? Why does the council seal the lower chambers when the rain comes? What lies beyond the Veil Forest? In a world where conformity was survival, such questions were seen as weakness. His supervisors called him a distraction. His peers avoided his conversations. And yet, Kael could not stop wondering. He had been born with a mind that refused to stop moving. That quality, the very thing that made him an outcast, was about to make him a hero. The kingdom of Myrmis was ruled by King Sedatus III, a kingdom of considerable ancestry and considerable comfort. He had not left his royal chamber in 7 full seasons. His throne room was a marvel of craftsmanship, pillars carved from obsidian black earth, silk-spun hammocks stretching between golden fungal stalks, and 100 servants attending to his every comfort. The air was perfumed with nectar and rare resin. His advisors spoke to him through velvet curtains, so he need not be disturbed by the sight of actual effort. Sedatus was not cruel. He was simply absent. He issued commands through chains of messengers so long that by the time an order reached its destination, it resembled nothing of its original intent. Food rationing became feast decrees. Emergency protocols became parades. The colony managed itself through the desperate improvisation of those beneath him, and each season it managed a little less well. The harvest was failing. Trade routes with the eastern settlements had gone dark. Young workers were abandoning the colony for neighboring territories. Myrmis was bleeding slowly, and its king did not notice because no one was brave enough to tell him. In the deep council chamber, 7 levels below the throne room, the Elder Council convened in emergency. 7 of the oldest ants in Myrmis sat around a circular stone table worn smooth by hundreds of years of worried hands. Maps carved into crystalline plates covered the walls. Reports from the outer territories lay scattered like fallen leaves. Elder Thesis spoke first. She was ancient. Her exoskeleton faded to a pale gray, her movements slow but deliberate, her voice still carrying the authority of someone who had witnessed the colony's last great crisis and survived it. The eastern food caches have been dry for 3 moons. The Veil Forest routes are blocked. Something has disturbed the ecosystem beyond our walls. If we do not send a scouting expedition to the unexplored reaches before the dry season, we will not have enough stores to survive it." The room was silent. "We need a volunteer," said Elder Bricks, the youngest of the council, who was still young by the standards of the very old. More silence. No one in Myrmis volunteered for the unexplored reaches. The stories were too old and too strange. That's when Elder Thesis spoke a name that no one expected. Kael. She spoke of a worker ant in the western colony, undistinguished in rank, unremarkable in history, but possessing something rarer than strength or status: a questioning mind, the ability to observe what others walked past, the capacity to wonder about the world beyond the pheromone trails. He asked questions no one else asked. The unexplored reaches do not need the strongest soldier we have. They need the most curious. The council voted. The decree was written. And that evening, 2 royal messengers arrived at Kael's sleeping chamber, woke him from a shallow sleep, and delivered the news that would break and rebuild his entire world. He wasn't chosen, he was conscripted. There is a difference. A chosen hero feels honor. Kael felt fury. He was given until dawn. By the time Kael arrived at the eastern gate at dawn, trembling with a mixture of anger and something he could not name, one figure was already waiting for him: Zorax. A scout of 20 seasons, Zorax was immediately distinguishable. One antenna broken halfway and bent at an unnatural angle, a long scar running the length of his carapace from some encounter he never explained. He was half a head shorter than Kael, but carried himself with the stillness of someone who had seen genuine danger and made peace with it. He had not been assigned, he had volunteered. "You're the one who asks questions," said Zorax, studying Kael without judgment. "Good. Questions are the only compass that works out there." He handed Kael a small pack, dried food, a vial of bioluminescent resin for light, and a single obsidian fragment sharpened to a blade. "I'm not here to protect you," said Zorax. "I'm here to make sure you survive long enough to learn something." Kael stared at him. "What learn?" "That's the first question. You'll find the answer before we come back." The eastern gate of Myrmis was the largest structure most ants ever saw in their lifetime. 40 antenna lengths tall, carved from compressed earth reinforced with crystallized resin. It bore the marks of every colony leader who had ever ordered it open. It had opened for trade caravans and closed against floods. It had opened for returning heroes and closed behind exile. Today, it opened for Kael. He stepped through without looking back. Behind him, the gate sealed with a sound he would remember for the rest of his life. A deep, resonant thud that echoed in his chest like a final heartbeat of his old existence. He was outside. The world beyond the gate was not frightening. It was something worse than frightening. It was vast. The Vale Forest stretched before them, towering plant roots like the pillars of some cathedral built by giants, bioluminescent moss cresting on their surfaces in cascading rivers of soft green and teal light. Distant creatures moved in the deep shadows between the roots. Kael stood at the threshold and understood with quiet certainty that he would return to Myrmis a different ant, or he would not return at all. The Vale Forest was nothing like the stories. The stories told of darkness and death. What Kael found was something more complex, a living world of extraordinary, dangerous beauty. Roots the size of ancient towers created natural corridors and chambers. Water droplets on every surface caught the bioluminescent light and scattered it into thousands of tiny prisms. Creatures he had never imagined moved through this world with casual familiarity.
as if the danger were simply the texture of life here, not a warning against it. Zorax moved ahead with practiced efficiency, stepping only where the light was stable, pausing at the edge of shadows to listen before continuing. He communicated mostly in gesture, a raised arm for stop, a flat hand for silence, a pointed claw for direction.
Kael followed, trying to absorb everything. His mind was already working, cataloging, comparing, wondering. The creatures here were unlike anything in Myrmis's natural histories. The ecosystem operated on rules he had never been taught. He was already learning. He did not know that yet. They walked in silence for a long time until Zorax held up his arm. Something had moved in the shadow between two roots ahead. Something large. Something that had not been there a moment ago. Kael's first real test was about to begin. It emerged slowly from the shadow between the roots, and Kael's first instinct was to run. But Zorax did not move. He stood perfectly still, one arm out to hold Kael in place. The creature was unlike anything documented in Myrmis's archives. It stood perhaps 12 antenna lengths tall, on 6 thick segmented legs that ended in wide padded feet. Its body was roughly cylindrical, covered with overlapping plates of a deep iridescent purple, each plate edged with a faint blue luminescence. From its head rose 2 pairs of curved sensory horns that swept back like the branches of a tree. Its eyes, 6 of them arranged in 2 arcing rows, were the color of amber fire. It was looking directly at Kael. It was not attacking, it was simply looking. Zorax slowly lowered his arm. "A Grolix," he murmured. "It reads your intention before it reads your size. Be calm, be honest, mean it." Kael did not know what that meant, but he forced his trembling to stop, steadied his breathing, and held the creature's 6 amber eyes with his own. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then the Grolix dipped its great head once, a slow, deliberate gesture of acknowledgement, and stepped aside, clearing the path. They walked past in silence. When Kael glanced back, the creature had vanished. "What just happened?" he whispered. "It saw that you were afraid and that you moved anyway. That's all it needed to know about you." They made camp that night in a sheltered root alcove lined with bioluminescent moss, the soft glow casting everything in pale teal warmth. Kael sat with his back against the root wall and turned the day over in his mind. The gate closing, the vast forest, the Grolix's amber eyes. "I was afraid," he said finally, not to anyone in particular. "I know," Zorax said, not looking up from the small fire he was nursing from dried resin chips. "I thought being afraid meant I couldn't do it." "Most people do," Zorax said. Silence stretched between them, warm and companionable. "The Grolix didn't care that I was afraid. It only cared that I didn't let the fear stop me." Zorax finally looked up. Something in his scarred old face had softened. "Now you're asking the right questions." Kael looked out at the darkness of the Vale Forest beyond their alcove, vast and unknown and full of things he could not yet imagine. For the first time since the royal messengers had knocked on his chamber door, the anger in his chest had quieted. In its place was something smaller and stronger. Not courage, not yet, but the first seed of it. He closed his eyes. The forest breathed around him. Tomorrow would bring new territories, new creatures, new questions. One ant, one kingdom,
20 lessons standing between here and home. The journey had begun.